and encourage each other to keep on moving, to not stop, to stay determined, to instead of being discouraged and disappointed, to focus ourselves on being determined, to focus ourselves on being unswayed by the chaos and the crazy stuff around us or the crazy stuff inside of us. Sometimes you have got to stop and make a new decision regarding your internal world, or someone else who knows you well enough can say, hey, I see crazy in your eyes. And so somebody else can help you kind of snap yourself out of it if you are in one of those tangents where your inside is in what I call torment. We do not have to remain in torment. I don't believe we're supposed to be in torment. I believe we are supposed to be triumphant. And are there times when we fall? Yes. Are there times when we fail? Absolutely, there are. And I tell you what, the most successful people I see talk about how they failed so much, and that's how they found what to succeed in. But many people beat themselves up for all the failures they have instead of seeing that, oh, that's just one more thing I'm not good at. That's just one more thing that I haven't excelled at. That's just one more thing that I need to either change or I need to do something completely different. Because if you have not found your jam, don't waste your time inside that stuff you're in. Shift gears and don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to succeed either. It's important. I have my favorite cup for my coffee. Yes, there's lipstick on it because I'm a girl and I love lipstick. It says, it's fine, I'm fine, everything's fine. Everything's fine, because we have got to determine that everything is fine. We have to stop and take a look-see into all the craziness and go, wait, I'm okay. Sometimes when you determine that you're okay, sometimes everything that's chaotic actually calms down. Why? Because we're in charge of our thoughts. We're in charge of our own sanity, our own stability. And sometimes it is hormonal, and sometimes it's thoughts that need to change. Sometimes it's body trauma that needs to be removed so that trauma is no longer an anchor in you that keeps you in that cycle, or keeps you in that depression, or keeps you in that disappointment, or keeps you in that discouragement. All the D words except for Donna, of course. Donna's a good word. All the other words, those D words, they're bad words. They're like 4-letter words, but they're a lot longer. And so determining that you are going to thrive instead of survive has to take place on the inside. So how are you abiding in your thoughts? What thoughts are abiding inside of you? Are you constantly thinking about how angry you are, how upset you are, how unjust it is, how that person made you mad, how that person over there has not forgiven you, how that person unfriended you, how that person invited everybody but you? Are you constantly thinking about things that separate you from other people, or separate you from yourself? Separate you from you? Or maybe you're so disgusted and so offended, and your mind is so trapped in torment that you need someone to just snap you out of it so that you can move forward. And sometimes it is sheer willpower that makes you get out of that bed and get dressed. And I love the Fly Lady. She talks about getting dressed to the shoes, right? Getting dressed to the shoes so that you feel like you have dignity, so you're not walking slouching, but you're walking standing upright. Shoes help you do that. Shoes put a new attitude in you. And I know people that maybe get to a place where they don't have work, or they just don't know what to do with their time. And so getting dressed is the first thing. Get dressed, brush your teeth, brush your hair, wash your face. Put on your lipstick if you're a girl, and let yourself be motivating you to move forward, to take one thing at a time. If you don't have a schedule, make one. If you can't have a schedule because things are so unstable or fluid in your home, then that's okay. Choose 3 things you want to get done every day, and then do them as you can in your 8 to 10 to 18 to 24 hours that you're awake. Because some people are awake all the time because insomnia is such a huge thing these days. Of course, a lot of that insomnia is from EMF, So that's where I have my EMF protector, which, by the way, I'm not selling, but I do wear this EMF protector, and I wear it at night. I know, crazy. It's not exactly the best fashion statement, but I like it, and it has brought me some peace. And I'm thankful for that. So don't care about what it looks like. I care how it helps me. And so I'm thankful for that. So I do have a scripture today I'm going to read to you. Now, this is from Romans. And the reason I'm reading from scripture is because there are some straight anchoring statements there that those men and those women made to their audience, to their environment, that held a lot of weight. And they still hold weight today in your life and in my life if we will take them to heart and consider it and think about it. So I want you to hear just this little snippet that really is just rich and thick in the weight of truth for you and for me. It is Romans 15:14. And this is what Paul said. And I'm saying this completely out of context because Paul was talking to them about something that is not happening with us, okay? It was just happening with them because he was having a conversation with them. Like I'm having a conversation with you. I'm talking to you. But am I talking to your descendants? Am I talking 2,000 years down the road? No, I'm not. I'm talking to you. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm fully convinced of your genuine spirituality. Listen, are you convinced of your spirituality? Do you understand that you are spirit? You have a soul. You have a wonderful body. And sometimes the body likes to tell us what to do. Sometimes our mind and our will and our emotions want to tell us what to do. But if we will recalibrate and remember that we are spirit beings, that we've always been alive, that will always be alive, and we will lean into the place of truth where our Creator lives right inside of here, not just inside the heart, but right inside our very core, inside from the top of our head to the soles of our feet. Do we have our Creator who runs through our blood, runs through our oxygen, runs through our veins? I do not believe that there is a God who just comes to live inside your heart. I think that is a false gospel, to be quite frank. He doesn't just live inside the heart. He lives inside of all of you. And actually, when you go back to some of the understanding of what heart even means, when it talks about heart in that audience, it was much fuller than just one little sweet little organ. It was one little sweet little thing. It is all encompassing. And so this Creator, this God, this love, the one who made us from the get-go, who lives inside of us from the get-go, says, hey, I'm fully convinced of your genuine spirituality. So I wonder if they were convinced of their genuine spirituality. Maybe we need to be convinced that we are spiritual beings so that we can recalibrate and remember that we have someone who lives inside of us, that lives and moves and breathes and has his essence inside of us, and that we live and move and breathe and have essence inside the one who lives inside of us. I'm telling you, it's an amazing partnership. It is an amazing, it's more than marriage. It is such a union. There's no breaking it. There's no separating from it. There's no pulling out of it. There's nothing you can do that is so bad. I don't care who you are, Hitler himself. There's nothing you can do that separates you from the one who lives inside of you. You could not live, move, or breathe without the one who lives inside of you. This is what I truly believe with all that is within me. So return to the one who lives inside, and remember, you are a spirit being. Spirit being. And then what was the next sentence that Paul had in Romans 15:14? Part B of that. I know that each of you is stuffed full of God's goodness. Oh my gosh. Do you know you're stuffed full of God's goodness? If you walk around every single day talking about how bad things are, talking about how negative you feel about you, or negative you feel about the person with you, or negative you feel about that circumstance, or negative you feel about your paycheck, or negative you feel about your boss, or negative you feel about the person you're in relationship with, or negative you feel about the person who's no longer in relationship with you, negative you feel about the one who's attempting to run the country or not run the country, negative about the ones that are way across the way, that are attempting to destroy each other. Listen, if that's where your thoughts go, then that's the negative that's in flow. And though your spirit and your spirituality, your whole spirit being is here, you can inundate yourself so much that you just forget. So I want you to remember today that you are a spiritual being and you are stuffed full of God's goodness. So pause and take a deep breath with me. Guess what breathing does? Breathing brings your central nervous system into a new space of calm. Like, that's science stuff, not just spiritual stuff. Science does get to come around eventually and go, oh yeah, the spirit was right. Oh yeah, that's really true. So you are stuffed full of God's goodness. I want you to say with me, I am stuffed full of God's goodness. I am stuffed full of God's goodness. Hey, picture like a stuffed, like a, they have those create your own bears, build your own bear things, and you stuff them. Just picture yourself being stuffed full of goodness so much that you're just overwhelmed, overflowing. You're like this cup that's overflowing with God's goodness. You may not feel like it, but if you will talk to yourself long enough and tell yourself you are stuffed full of God's goodness, I am stuffed full of God's goodness. If you will concentrate on the goodness part, the negative part will have less and less hold on you. What if you started every single day out with, I am stuffed with God's goodness? What if you just did that for 5 days in a row? How would that alter your state of being? How would that alter your mind? How would that alter your thoughts? How would that alter your attitude at home with whoever you're with, or in a workplace where you're going, or on the telephone when you're talking to someone? How would that alter you and how you feel about you? What you think about you? Oh my goodness. What would that do with you if you told yourself that enough that your body was like, whoa, I'm full of goodness. I'm full of goodness. And what happens when he said, I know that each of you are stuffed full of God's goodness, that you are richly supplied with all kinds of revelation knowledge. Whoa. Are you filled with revelation knowledge, but you don't remember it and you don't realize it because you have been so negative that you've been listening to the news that tells you all sorts of bad news instead of good news? That you've been listening to gossip that gives you all sorts of non-godly ideas that you've been listening to, hearing to, that you've been concentrating on diagnosis so much, and you read so much about it that now your mind is trapped in the details of the negative part of that report? Where are you focusing your mind? Where are you focusing your thoughts? What is your spirit doing? Your spirit's just kind of maybe just waiting for you to come to your real self so that you can what? Receive the revelation knowledge that's inside of you. Stuff full of goodness and full of all kinds of revelation knowledge. Well, all kinds. Wow. What is there for you and what is there for me? What kinds of revelation knowledge is there? Do you have business questions? Do you have relationship questions? Do you have family questions? Do you have global questions? Do you have economic questions? Do you have healthcare questions? What kind of questions do you have that you could find within you if you would stop the chatter and listen through the filter of God's goodness? What if you filtered everything through God's goodness that lives inside of you? What if you came to and you, even though you don't believe it, and I'm not just saying fake it till you make it, I'm saying the truth is you're full of God's goodness. And even if you don't believe it, even if you don't see it, it's still truth, because truth is truth regardless of what we feel. You know, we wait to have an experience to validate what we think is true, and then if it doesn't happen in our experience, we think that's not true. But that's not good news. That's not the truth. Truth and the person of truth who lives within us, that tells us we are stuffed full of God's goodness and that we have all kinds of revelation knowledge, wants us to hear the revelation, wants us to see the thoughts that are revelatory, that we can be inspired by ourselves and inspiring to other people. And I tell you what, if we encourage ourselves every day with a good old word of God, just the good old words that are truth, I'm telling you, it would revolutionize our everyday. Our attitudes would change. Our atmospheres would change. We wouldn't get knocked off our horse so quickly. We would remain on that saddle. And if we don't have a saddle, if we ride bareback, we'd be glued to it, because we would be full of truth, and that truth would be so strong, and we'd be so anchored in that goodness and anchored in that revelation knowledge that we would no longer be tossed to and fro, not by the winds, but by the horse that's going up and down and trying to buck us off. Because when you're full of chaos, the horse is full of chaos. So if we will calm ourselves, that horse will calm himself, and we will have a steadier ride, a steadier walk, a steadier life, bringing the chaos out of us so that we are instead stable and sane, full of all kinds of revelation knowledge. And then this is the last part of that sentence, which I think is phenomenal. So not only are you stuffed full of God's goodness, not only are you richly supplied with all kinds of revelation knowledge, but you are empowered to effectively instruct one another. You are empowered. You are empowered to effectively instruct one another. But if you are not syncing, SYNC, with God's goodness, if you're not seeing the revelation knowledge that you are full of, the all kinds of, if you've not stilled your heart so that you can hear and see and have confidence in the one who lives within you, and you being one with that creator, and you seeing that you are full of God's goodness, how on earth are you empowered to effectively instruct anybody? Our first instructions need to be to ourselves. And today, I'm not just instructing me, or not just instructing you, but I'm also instructing me. You know, this is a day to rise up. This is a day to have a good look at you, look at yourself in the mirror long enough to see the goodness, and the revelation that is yours. It's not claim it, name it, claim it stuff. It's not fake it till you make it stuff. It's handling that truth. It's seeing the goodness. It's seeing that you have goodness instead of allowing the overlapping emotional junk to grab a hold of you. You've got to let that stuff inside of you that is so negative to really go. So listen, I bless you. I believe in you. I sincerely want to encourage you to be the authentic you, but to remember the real you is the real you that's wrapped full of God's goodness and overflowing in God's goodness, that the real you is empowered to instruct others. So when you're instructing others, may it come out of goodness. May it come out of all kinds of revelation knowledge, and not out of the negative, not out of all your information that you're getting off the internet. You know, we got Google, then we got God, it seems. Not that, but instead the goodness. And when you can really, truly SYNC with that, I believe it's going to change you. It's going to help you. It's going to encourage you and your entire environment. Anyway, I bless you and I love you. This is Donna Reiners. And listen, if you're a woman and you want emotional encouragement and strength, you are invited to Woman, Be Brave, and Love Yourself. Woman, be brave and love yourself. Women only, and that's what we're doing, encouraging one another with truth and pulling out negative things out of us, out of our bodies that's not supposed to be there, that keep us from seeing the rich goodness that we truly are. I bless you. This is Donna. Have a great one. Bye.